Vision 2030, it also promotes good and affordable education. We just look even at African Union Agenda 2063, it still promotes affordable education. So we are not going to major on this, but in a scenario whereby this issue of fee increment will be advanced further without consultation, simply because what the University of Nairobi administration did, it did consult the university students' leadership, it did consult parents, it did consult Commission University Education, Q, it did consult the Ministry of Education, it did consult also the Committee on University Education of the National Assembly. So we are not going to accept, and we are going to tell our students immediately they come back to school, all of them in totality, as you have seen, more than actually almost 40% of the students who are supposed to report, they have not reported because of fee increment. University education is not affordable. That is why we are going to tell our students immediately they come back, we are going to plan, we are going to orchestrate and plan a series of demonstrations and protests to ensure that education is not exorbitant at all. The other issue also we wanted to address is the matter to do with HELB, Higher Education Loans Board. You have seen recently the CEO of HELB, Ringera, talk about HELB. He said that this government will not convert HELB to be a grant. And he's saying that, indicating that the former Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga, during his visit in a meeting that we had planned as Kenya University Students Organization back there in Meru University of Science and Technology, we had planned a big gathering whereby students pleaded with the former Premier simply because he's an aspirant to become the president of this country next year, which, by the way, can be a plea to any presidential candidate. They humbly requested him that in his government, should he become president, he should consider converting HELB loans to be a grant. And I want to say categorically that this is a plea we had made even initially in the Building Bridges initiative, which we had submitted our own memoranda and decided to come up with issues affecting students, which can be able to promote a sustainable lifespan of a student in the university. And just to be surprised, the CEO of HELB indicated just recently that this HELB cannot be converted to a grant. Therefore, many students who have not been affording school fees, many students who have been, living on bursaries advanced by the government will not be able to afford. And remember, in the Building Bridges initiative, we had agreed that there will be a 4-year grace period. But our whole plan was to ensure that it will just not be a 4-year grace period. We wanted to be a grant, so that our university students should not repay HELB loans after being disbursed. Now, what Aaron Ringera was trying to imply is that of the many students who apply for HELB, or rather who apply for HELB, they are supposed to pay. And what Raila just said is that he will not require anyone to pay. And remember, the same, he also said that for the 3 billion grant is given by universities fund. And then he's saying too that 7 million bursary is given 8,000 per student. And that is, of course, to university students, and 100 million to TVETs. Now, I want just to put to task to Bwana Ringera. Try to show us, try to be accountable. Tell us where this 1.7 million goes to, because I've never seen students indicating that they have benefiting from that 8,000. And also we want to see the 100 million that goes to TVET. Where is it? We want to know where is it, because we have not seen it. Another issue also we want to put across is that let us not politicize matters to do with university education. We are not supposed to take people trying to caution, or rather people trying to help students who are highly vulnerable, and coming up with solutions which can improve their livelihoods and make it politics. If someone who has served in the government in a previous term, in a previous government as a prime minister, can say publicly that will convert help to a grant, then who are you? And you have never even served, as an MP, you have not served in any political office to say that it cannot be converted. And then again, some countries, we have seen them even give more grants. Take, for instance, in the United States, whereby we have the president, Joe Biden, give a grant of more than $1.8 trillion to students. Those are grants. So we expect also to the same to be replicated here in Kenya, so that at least our university students can be able to afford education. So those are matters help. And finally, I would like to join very many Ugandans in commemorating the attack which was made by the military in Makerere University, whereby we saw a lot of military men, the police, and also security personnel in civilian attire attack the university. And after attacking the university, very many students were affected. Some of them were maimed, others were assaulted, some died. It is a scenario which also we saw here in Kenya, in Garissa University, whereby students were attacked, also killed. University, 148 students lost their lives, unfortunately, and 79 of them were injured severely. I would like to join very many Ugandans in commemorating this day, which was 2 years ago. Actually, yesterday was exactly 2 years ago since those acts were conducted. These issues, we have seen them happen once and again in all these universities, whereby we have seen students subjected to police brutality. We have seen even students here in Kenya also killed by the police. We have seen various cases go and, whereby justice is beaten, but we still hope that maybe things will improve across member states. In Uganda, recently, we saw in Lumumba Hall, the police broke into those halls of residence and conducted assaults. And even Kiambogo University, we saw a student there called Abraham Kansime. We saw also another student in Makerere University who also was assaulted by the name Emmanuel Tegu, who was a veterinary student. Now, all these students, they were advocating for affordable education in the country, in Uganda. And when these students were attacked, they went ahead to the Uganda Human Rights Commission. They went to the Committee on Human Rights in Ugandan Assembly to present, their problems, so that even the government can be able to help and see how it can be able to compensate those who are attacked, and see how also justice can be pursued. But to a lot of dismay and hopelessness, what happened is that the universities orchestrated a plan of erasing all the evidence, and there was no evidence which was found afterwards. So I still, as the chairman, East African Students Union, I would like to convey solidarity and support to all these students who have been fighting, towards a just and more affordable society, more affordable state of affairs, whereby university education is not expensive for everyone, is affordable, so at least our students can be able to afford. I think that's it. Yes. Actually, we can go one by one. So the first question was, well, Kenya University Students Organization has a very close relationship with the university lecturers, and we have had very many sessions together. We have shared platforms, and I can tell you as a matter of fact and with a lot of confidence that the lecturers are not in support of university increments. Take Professor Kiama said that, Professor Kiama, who is actually the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, is saying that by increasing school fees, the university will be able now to run its operations normally. Because what they indicated is that the university is falling and the university is paralyzing because of lack of financial support by the government and a lot of frustrations by the Commission of University Education and even allocation of funds from Treasury and so forth. Now, I just would like to put it very, very simple. If the university says that if you increase school fees, that is when they will be able to afford to run their operations. Then, with a low turnout right now, if you tell 100 students if you admit 100 students and 50 turn up, would you rather not have 100 students with affordable school fees turning up and affording to run operations of the university, rather than have 50 and then you triple their school fees, who are likely to be conducting harambes each now and then to afford the school fees? So mine is very simple. The Kenya University Students Organization will not support, and even the lecturers will not support any kind of fee increment in this country, because even themselves, they have their own children in those universities. I want just Kenyans to look at a scenario whereby on record, a vice chancellor comes and says that is increasing school fees 3 times the normal school fees, because even some high schools, students who are paying as much, they even paying less. But then I want to show you a scenario whereby in the universities, you have to have money to stay, or rather you have to have pocket money, which of course you incur it from the parents. The same parents have to pay school fees, which by the way is 3 times. They have to pay for accommodation, which by the way is 6 times. In fact, more than 6 times. Because if students were paying around 6,000, right now it's 47,000. The same parent has to pay if you are lucky enough, you will go to that university. But you'll be accommodated in those universities. But if you're not lucky, because the spaces also are little, are not many, they are strained. The same vice chancellor, by the way, on that issue, says that if you don't want to stay in the university, then you can opt to stay outside. And outside, which is the alternative do you have? You have to go to some hostels, which, by the way, an example is Kwetu Hostel or Kwetu Residences. who have partnerships with the same university administrations. So they are giving you two options. One is expensive in the university. Then the other option they are giving you is another residence which has got a partnership with the university. It's just like a cartel, you know. And when you opt for another place besides those two, then you'll find those places also have are subjected to many problems. They cannot operate well. The police are on their necks. There's a lot of problems which they face. So apparently you have to just go to the places which they have offered. So just to answer to you, the lecturers are so much on board. Remember this, the same universities have been fighting their pursuit towards getting good salaries. So there have been very many orders which have been which have been proposed by the judiciary towards ensuring lecturers get, fair and improved salaries. But you see, these university leaderships also have been shooting down their efforts. But the university students also have been supporting those lecturers on those courses. Just like I've said, the lecturers also have their children in school. It's not just normal parents who are affected, but also those lecturers simply because their children also are there. The other question you asked? Now, as the chairman, Kenya University Students Organization, I want just to confess to many Kenyans that the spirit of student activism that was there before is no longer there. Because the government back then, through an unpopular bill which is famously known by students as the Duale Bill, which came and changed the whole voting process amongst universities, came on board. The bill came and shut down the spirit of activism that was there between students. Students were able to vote through a popular initiative, but nowadays they vote through delegates, whereby you vote for a few people. Those few people, then they go up there and vote for the overall leadership in those universities, which made it possible for these universities to plan and to handpick a few student leaders who can be able to represent the voices of the rest, finance them, and they end up being the people representing students. So at the end of the day, these student leaders will not be able to represent the interests of their students because they know how they came to power. Now, nowadays we have a very big setback on that account, because whenever I call students to demonstrate, very few come up. And those students that come on board, they have to be motivated by their own personal initiatives. And whenever I call these students, majority of them fear that they will be suspended, expelled from the university, and all those kind of things. But we just telling students still to be much vigilant. There's no cause to fear. There is no need to feel intimidated. If they will not accept for us to do demonstrations during the day and subject students still to suspension and expulsions, then we are going to be carrying our demonstrations at night when there is no one to see whoever is doing it. Because our students are always on the oppressed side. Number two, it is very true that students plan demonstrations and they cause the government to act. Nowadays, because we feel like sometimes we tell the government to do this and they listen, what we are going to do, we are going to pursue some diplomatic processes. We are going to talk to the government through the Ministry of Education. We see whether they will listen. But at least I've seen some efforts, because medical students went to court, and the judge, as you have seen recently, he has said that the move towards increasing school fees is unconstitutional. We have gone to Professor Magoa. We have engaged him. We have engaged also the PS on university education, and also he has said that that move is not in line with the ministry's agenda towards affordable education. So I feel like these efforts are working. Then if they don't work, we do not only rely on plan A. Sometimes we go for plan B. Other times we even skip plan B, we go for plan C, which I'm very sure no one knows what plan C is. We might resolve to conduct mass protests because these are the same students who are affected by these policies. So that's generally that's it. Well, in my life in the University of Nairobi, so far I've seen 3 vice chancellors. I was not lucky enough to find Professor Magoa as the vice chancellor of the University of Nairobi. But I've come at a time whereby I met Professor Mbidi as the vice chancellor. And later on, for a brief phase, or rather transition period, I happened to witness the leadership of Professor Mbete, and then lately that of Professor Kiama. Honestly speaking, I can say there is complete contrast between the 3 of them. Professor Mbidi, there were a lot of loopholes when it came to management, but he has never advocated for oppressing of students. He may not have been gifted enough to be able to lobby within the government to ensure that more money trickles down to the university to ensure sustainability. But Mbete was very good at it. You could be able to talk to Treasury, and we could see very many operations. Even students could afford meals. We could see even, students generally, they could afford their life. And we could see also even university leadership. There wasn't a disconnect. When I talk about the leadership of Professor Kiama, he's a good man, yes, but he's leading a university that requires good managerial skills. When you talk about managerial skills, you're not supposed to subject the people who are working under you to intimidation and threats, which we have seen he was threatening student leaders on live camera. We have seen him restructure the whole of the University of Nairobi administration without the policies being hinged on any legal status, or rather there was no legality about it. We could see him allocating duties afresh, coming up with various positions in the university which are not hinged, which are not attached to any legal framework. So what I can say about Professor Kiama is that there's still a lot of room to change. And the issue which I feel very much sad about is the issue of fee increments and the disregard to work with the university students' leadership with respect, because we can never have a university vice chancellor without a university. We can never have students learning without a lecturer. The same way, we can never have a lecturer without a student. We cannot have a vice chancellor who is leading no one. The people you are leading are students. Those students, they have their representatives, and those representatives, they have to be listened. And that is what we lack in the University of Nairobi. Consultation and ensuring everyone is comfortable, not happy. We really don't need people to be happy, just comfortable, just to afford to stay in our university. Remember, these students, they struggle very hard to join the University of Nairobi. It's an institution of their dreams. They come to that university having struggled enough in high school. Now, when we talk about 4,000 students out of around 10,000 students who are admitted, 4,000 students failing to turn up, failing to get admitted in the University of Nairobi, a university of their dreams. That is like over 40% of students didn't manage to come after being admitted. Why? Because the fee is increased, fee increment. These students have been, the students who managed to come around 6,000, 7,000, they have done so because they have conducted Arambis. Now, my question to Kenyans, will we have parents do Arambis every time they want a student to come the next semester, next academic year? Will we have Arambis all over just to support university education, specifically University of Nairobi? And by the way, under Professor Kiama as the Vice Chancellor. So I feel like the University of Nairobi administration should sit down, listen to the recommendations of students, listen to recommendations by lecturers, listen to everyone, the society, the public, and also listen to government, so that at least we can have an equitable society that actually upholds equity, so that we can have every student affording university education. Yes. So far, so good. I feel like he's not worthy at all. He's not worthy to be to continue being Vice Chancellor of University of Nairobi. Personally, I feel like I can be a better Vice Chancellor than him. I can be able to lead the University of Nairobi with a lot of decorum, peace, and ensuring that every student can be able to afford school fees. I feel like I can be able to lobby for more resources to the university, more than he is doing currently. Look at the university, there's a lot of land, real estate, even whereby we constructed Confucius Institute. That was a misplaced priority. Now look at even the money that is trickles down in the university. Where does it come from? Why do we have a directorate of advancement in the university? That directorate, or rather those government positions, should be able to lobby for more funds to the university for externally. You're not supposed to source funds from increasing school fees among students. There are various ways which a University of Nairobi stature can be able to get funds to sustain its life. So I feel like what Professor Kiama needs to do is, to come up with better policies for the university of getting more funds, of sourcing financial support, but not oppressing but not in the whole process oppressing university students further, who cannot, by the way, afford, and who cannot support university education with freedom.